When thinking about historical major cities in the United States, I'm sure that Boston is one of the first to cross your mind. For a major city with such a profound history, maps play a crucial role in capturing the past stories of the city. If you want to learn more about these advanced handy tools and navigate the complex urban layout of modern Boston, just follow this video and make sure you watch until the end. Hello, my friends. This is Kathy, the library hunter. Following our last adventure in the world of fictional maps at Harvard University Library, let's continue this map exploration in Boston libraries. This time, let's come to visit the most famous central library in the Boston Public Library system. This library, located in Copley Square in the Back Bay neighborhood of Boston, Massachusetts, is one of the largest public library systems in the United States. This flagship location primarily consists of two major parts: the architectural masterpiece McKim Building and the modern addition Jognson Building. Of course, I will create a dedicated video to focus on the iconic McKim Building, and this time let's enjoy a captivating exploration of Boston maps situated within the modern side of the library. On display at the Leventhal Map and Education Center, located on the ground floor of the McKim Building and near the glass elevator of the Boylston Street Building. Maps trace out the complicated history of places, and we can use them to document geography in pretty much the same way that we can use diaries and letters to document biography. In this exhibition, we are looking at 8 maps that show how Boston has evolved over the years. These maps aren't just pictures of the past. Instead, they invite us to contemplate how geographic forces, both natural and human, have constructed the physical and social world around us through large and small transformations that have transpired over many centuries. This rare 17th century New England manuscript, combining a map and legal testimony by a native creator, is a unique record of indigenous geographical knowledge. It depicts Rhode Island's coastline and rivers, reflecting Mohegan and Pequot tribes' understanding. This map of New England was published in London, created after King Philip's War, shows both English and indigenous peoples' lands. It's based on a survey from 1665 and marks areas where different tribes lived. The map includes pictures and a title section that show battles, highlighting its use in European plans to expand their land. The Boston Central Library now stands where there used to be a bay filled with wooden fish traps. The area where salt water meets fresh water, with hills and grasslands, was good for Algonquian-speaking people to settle. This system helped them make money and have a rich culture. But when Europeans came, diseases and conflicts made native people leave. Maps from that time showed the land the way Europeans wanted it, with native people moving away. Despite this, native people still live in the area today. Henry Pelham made this special map in 1775 during the American Revolution. He was on the British side but studied both British and rebel defenses. This map, published in 1777 when he was in London, shows where armies were but also things about daily life, like where enslaved people might have lived. This map gives us a special look into how cities and people were during the American Revolution. Boston was important in the British Empire, even though it didn't have a lot of natural resources. People in Boston were really good at trading by sea. They traded with New England, Britain, and other places, including where enslaved people worked. In the 1700s, discontent grew in Boston due to British control, ultimately contributing to the outbreak of the American Revolution. There were fights in the city, and this played a big role in the fight for independence. The way Massachusetts was organized also influenced the ideas of the new country. The 1870 map of Boston showcases factories, ships, and the nascent Back Bay area. It depicts construction on Clarendon Street and near future Copley Square, with the public library by Boston Common, now a recreational hub. Railroads feature prominently, linking Boston to manufacturing cities, essential for the city's industrial growth. And this 1895 map highlights Boston's evolving shoreline over a century, contrasting the colonial city's informal streets with later, regular patterns. It uses color-coded outlines to mark expansions in 1795, 1850, and 1895, showing the original footprint and subsequent growth. The new Central Library, opened in 1895, features prominently, symbolizing ongoing expansion into oceanic areas, a trend continuing into the late 20th century. As one of the most important centers of a newly independent nation, Boston spent the first half of the 19th century reimagining its urban form and building neighborhoods from scratch. By 1822, Boston evolved into a key U.S. trading and industrial center. Transitioning from a town to a city, it expanded onto landfill areas like Back Bay, contrasted with older, irregular neighborhoods. This early 20th century bird's-eye map of Boston, overlooking the harbor, includes over 24 cities and towns. It shows how electric street railways, marked in red, linked areas from Weymouth to Lynn and provided access to green spaces like Middlesex Fells and Blue Hills, symbolizing a unified metropolitan area. Chimneys for smoke and train tracks were signs of modern factories in Boston in the 1800s. At the same time, fancy buildings and poor apartment buildings showed that some areas were much better than others. In the middle of the 1800s, Boston changed a lot because of new ways to get energy. It became an important place for trains, connecting it to other cities like Lowell and Worcester, as well as faraway places where factories and farms were. This made it easier for people to live close together in the city and brought towns around Boston into one big area. The economic boom created wealthy enclaves and cultural institutions, but also led to overcrowded neighborhoods for many residents. This map shows Boston's filled land, swampy areas, and salt marshes, once considered unprofitable and disease sources. It also features health districts outlined in blue, created in 1874 by the State Board of Health to help control diseases in these polluted environments. In 1921, Boston undertook a vast infrastructure project, constructing a sewer network connecting multiple cities and towns. Following topography, it channeled waste to the ocean, with outlets at Deer Island and others. Still partially in use, it symbolizes efforts to control urban geography, impacting housing, transportation, and land use planning. During Boston's industrial expansion, rapid urbanization brought about significant challenges, including destructive fires, transportation problems, and environmental harm. Outbreaks of diseases and substandard living conditions in working-class neighborhoods spurred actions such as the implementation of housing regulations and the creation of plans for parks. Efforts to strike a balance between urban and rural elements involved the development of suburban areas and housing options like garden dwellings for laborers and newcomers. Sponsored by the Cunard Steamship Company, a historic map of East Boston emphasizes immigration's role. Diverse churches in 1920 hinted at the neighborhood's varied population, with Irish Catholics prominent. The era saw increased immigration restrictions, including a control station. Today, East Boston thrives as a vibrant center for the city's Hispanic community. People from all around the world have arrived in Boston to find a temporary or permanent home, turning the city into a cosmopolitan where many cultures combine. Boston's history, shaped by diverse arrivals, includes forced African migration in the 17th, 19th centuries. Later, people came for jobs, education, and safety, altering the city's landscape. In the first half of the 20th century, Boston faced a triple challenge. Deindustrialization started as factories moved to the U.S. South, followed by the Great Depression. Suburbanization, fueled by mass car ownership and white flight, further impacted the city. This 1960s BRA map illustrates efforts to address these changes, using federal funds and urban renewal. The color line, signifying 20th century racial divisions, manifested in physical and social spaces marked by racism and liberation efforts. In Boston, despite its anti-slavery image, blacks face systemic inequality, with segregation pre-Civil War and persistent racial barriers, a legacy still visible in current racial disparities. Facing protests and dwindling federal support in the late 1970s, Boston halted major redevelopment projects. This 1986 planning map categorized districts by historic development phases, emphasizing each neighborhood's unique sense of place. Boston strategically promoted its cultural amenities to adapt to the late 20th century. After observing the historical evolution of Boston City, the focus now shifts to contemplating the management of this expansive metropolitan region. We will move to the next exhibit section in a moment, trying to understand how to plan and design a complex city in a large metropolitan area. The exhibition gives special credits to guest curator Steven Beaucher, the author of the book Boston in Transit, published by MIT Press in 2023, is a comprehensive 600-page book that explores 400 years of Boston's history, richly illustrated with nearly 1,000 images. This extensive work delves into the evolution of transportation and its impact on the city's development. It traces the journey from the earliest days of public ferries and horse-drawn carriages to the multifaceted public transportation network overseen by the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, MBTA, today. The Learning Center at the Leventhal Map Center offers a rich array of resources and activities for the general public. It's a place that inspires curiosity and learning by fostering geographic perspectives on the relationship between people and places. For educators in K-12 education, the center provides resources like map sets, lesson plans, and classroom activities that utilize historic maps to engage students in a variety of subjects, from history to geography and beyond. University-level programs are also a significant part of the center's offerings, covering research in historical geography, urban studies, history of science and technology, and more. Are you familiar with the Atlascope project? It's an innovative digital initiative developed here at the Leventhal Map and Education Center. Allows for the geographical exploration of Boston through history. Using Atlascope, we can directly visualize a constantly shifting urban world reinventing itself over many decades. We see how the streets we know personally are planned out, laid out, and integrated into all the complexities of a city as historical as Boston. When I was doing research on Boston Atlas, I discovered another digital atlas website called Mapjunction, which was initiated in 1999 with digitized historical maps depicting 1630 to the recent past. Not only do they specifically contain single-sheet maps, they also include highly detailed atlases, topographic maps, aerial photos, and many more. You can easily select 2 to 4 different maps from various times in history and compare them side by side. If you are curious to try it out, I will put the link in the description box below the video, so don't forget to subscribe and check it out. The center's collections range chronologically from the 15th century to the present, covering all global regions. The most robust sections focus on items related to Boston, Massachusetts, and New England. The Rare Books and Manuscripts room is the library's primary repository for rare and historically significant books, manuscripts, and related materials. Their staff works to facilitate research, discovery, and learning through public engagement with the primary source materials under our care. They collect printed books and handwritten materials from around the world. This reading room is open to everyone by appointment, both online and in person. The Map as Art is a captivating collection that offers a diverse array of perspectives on how we perceive and comprehend the world. The inclusion of a wide range of artists, both renowned and less well-known, suggests a rich tapestry of unique visions, each contributing to a broader understanding of their respective worlds. Map Exploring the World brings together more than 300 fascinating maps, from the birth of cartography to cutting-edge digital maps of the 21st century. The book's unique arrangement, with the maps organized in complementary or contrasting pairs, reveals how the history of our attempts to make flat representations of the world has been full of beauty, ingenuity, and innovation. Interestingly, early modern collections were in the rare books department, and 19th century materials were in the prints department. As a federal depository library, the Map Center houses numerous maps from government agencies spanning defense, environmental management, and urban and regional planning. From here, we can enjoy a quick sneak peek of the library courtyard, surrounded by an arcaded gallery, classically inspired sculpture, and fountain. As we now move back to the gallery area, we can check out the section of teen curators. In the spring of 2023, Leventhal Center K-12 educators, in collaboration with the Boston Private Industry Council, hired some local students to create content for this exhibition. Students learned how information becomes geospatial by linking it to location and geography. It is definitely an innovative approach to get teenagers more involved in the geography of their hometown. In this section of Unrealized Possibility, 4 unrealized cases were displayed. Boston's transit system, rooted in a hub and spokes design, saw early radial route emphasis in Arthur Shirtleff's 1909 plan. Maps from 1906, 1907, and 1911 showcase early rapid transit plans and a direct rail link between North and South stations. The 1994 Big Dig map envisioned an unrealized North-South link. Bicycling's 19th century popularity contributed to park development, improved roads, and enhanced mobility options for women. In response to downtown Boston's 1890s traffic chaos, the first U.S. public transit subway emerged. Originating from Copley Square, a congestion epicenter, it stretched down Tremont Street to Boylston Street. A rapid transit commission, formed in 1892, mapped solutions considering streetcar conveyance beneath city streets feasible with electrification. The Boston Transit Commission, preparing for the Tremont Street subway, tallied streetcars and mapped areas with intense traffic, shaping the future of public transit. An 1898 BTC map shows the extent of the subway's tunnels and stations. It was built with simple technology, men with shovels, horses carting away spoils, and rudimentary steam shovels. The current MBTA commuter rail system traces its roots to 8 19th century railroad companies. The Boston and Lowell connected the city to northern New England, the eastern to Portland, and the Fitchburg served northern Massachusetts and beyond. By 1900, these lines consolidated into 3 major railroads, Boston and Maine, Boston and Albany, and New Haven, resulting in the formation of North Station and South Station. Back in the late 1800s, when street railways and steam railroads joined forces, leading the creation of many printed network maps and guides, each by a specific transit company. We've got the New Haven Railroad's first timetable and map to South Station, and an $1 all-day map of Eastern Massachusetts Street Railway Company's Ride. Each of these items highlights a vast network, needing a detailed but simplified system map. Now let's explore this chronological display of history of Boston networks. The historical overview, establishing networks, traces Boston's transportation evolution, from indigenous routes to horse-drawn streetcars, shaping the city's development. Moving on to the mid to late 19th century, the Challenge is now focused on developing their networks for a growing city. Multiple innovative efforts such as creating public transit maps in 1865, and the subsequent transformative shifts in Boston's transportation landscape, then the establishment of the Rapid Transit Commission in 1891, which played a crucial role in planning and influencing future subway and railway construction. Do you know why the transit card in Boston is called the Charlie card? It actually gets its name from a 1949 campaign song about a man named Charlie, who was eternally stuck on the T when he couldn't pay his exit fare. Although this method no longer exists, it's still a fun read for young readers to explore as they hop aboard the T to follow Charlie through the streets of Boston in 1949, zooming past familiar landmarks. Back in 1922, the Boston Elevated Railway Company introduced 3 motor buses, cheaper than the usual streetcars. The first bus was like a cab on a basic truck frame. Later on, the Metropolitan Transit Authority, M.T.A., took over, becoming Boston's first public entity controlling transportation. The M.T.A. had a tough time with fewer people riding and less cash coming in, because everyone was into their own cars. At the same time, suburban railroads wanted to stop running trains that weren't making profits. The M.T.A. tried to get things running smoother, but it wasn't easy with people changing how they like to commute and the new trends in transportation. The MBTA, initiated in 1964, revolutionized Greater Boston's public transit with extensive renovations, expansions, and improved services. Utilizing federal funding, it undertook projects like new Red Line cars, the Haymarket North extension of the Orange Line, and the Northwest extension of the Red Line, ensuring public awareness through various publications. MBTA crafted a cohesive visual identity for Boston's public transit. As a visitor to the city, I'm fascinated by the outlined informative station wall panels, vehicle maps, and the iconic black circle enclosing a truncated T symbol, an enduring emblem. And this is a fun, engaging survey that visitors can draw their own map and vote on the question, how do you get around town? And here's a challenge for Bostonians. Are you confident enough to reconstruct today's MBTA system map? The renowned Spider Map showcased a modernist design depicting transit lines radiating from downtown Boston. If you ever dream of a better public transit system here in the US, here is your opportunity to show your own cartography to the professionals and chances to receive a $200 prize. Each year, the Leventhal Map and Education Center holds a cartography challenge. Deadline is usually in mid-December, so if you miss this challenge, you can always be an early bird and prepare for the next challenge. There are quite a few intriguing ongoing and upcoming programs at the library, organized and sponsored by Leventhal Map and Education Center. So if you are thinking about visiting the map exhibition in person, don't forget to check their event schedule on their website, and choose a day that you can also participate in their literary events. Being an integral part of the library, the Newsfeed Cafe serves patrons locally roasted coffee, teas, and fresh pastries. Here you can catch up on the local news by reading the daily news tickers, listening to weekly live broadcasts, and educational content from GBH's satellite studio. It is the perfect place to listen, learn, and participate in community events. On the day of my visit, there was a trivia event about Boston Transit. It was a lot of fun to test your knowledge on the history of Boston's trains, planes, and automobiles. Interested to watch more? Just subscribe and stay tuned for my upcoming video, which shares more fun details about this trivia. In the next video, I will also take you for a walk inside this newly renovated modern library building, giving you an immersive experience of what it's like for a local Bostonian to study in this serene and welcoming library. Hope you enjoyed this fun geographic scavenger hunt among the maps and stories. I will see you in the next library adventure. Bye!